Hi, welcome, welcome. I am Kelley Pitts, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Lubbock, Texas. And I'm so glad you've joined today for my live. Whether you're joining live today on Facebook or live on YouTube or watching the replay, I'm so thrilled that I get to share my Create with Kelley designs with you. If you're looking for any Stampin' Up! Products, I can help you with those. You can go to my createwithkelley.com blog and website and click on shop and it'll take you to the product. So glad you've tuned in. Again, we'll give people a couple of minutes and please let me know when you're here. Hi, Kathy. I am glad you got to come and make this card. I will hopefully do a few things a little bit differently today. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we had a great class last week on Sunday for our techniques class where we did this card. And it was a lot of die cutting, which I pre-cut a whole lot of it. So the class didn't take 2 hours just for one card. But we did have a lot of fun and would love to have you join me if you're in the Lubbock, Texas area and want to come to an in-person card class. I do those every month. I do several. I try to do a beginner level, intermediate level, and then advanced technique level. And then sometimes I have like just a product-based class that's coming up. So you never know. You can always find that on my website, createwithkelley.com. And you have to spell Kelley, Kelley, like it is on the screen there. And anytime you place an order, if you will use that host code, I would certainly appreciate it. That helps me to bring you these free live videos and do goodies at classes and all that. So if your order is 150 or more, then you get your own hostess rewards as you have earned them. So if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. I will try to look up during the video and see if I can help you if you have a question. So let me know when you're here and who you are and where you're from and all that. And if you are trying to tune in as a Facebook user, you do have to give StreamYard permission to show your name and all that. So let me find the little banner that shows you how to do that. Let's see. Nope. Well, that tells you one thing, but it wasn't what I was talking about. Here we go. So you'll show up as Facebook user unless you go to streamyard.com/Facebook. That's all you have to do. And then it will show up with your name instead of just Facebook user. So I'm happy to have you on board. We will get going on this card. This is from the Earthen Elegance suite. Let's switch these off here, especially since my hair is sopping wet. We don't want to focus on that. Good morning, Janice. Glad you've tuned in. Thank you so much. I always love having people, my regulars, tune in. Y'all are great. Thanks. Okay, so the Earthen Elegance suite. Let me take that banner off. I think everybody's gotten that message. So back to what we were doing. This is on page 70 and 71 of the annual catalog, the 23-24 annual catalog. And it is a gorgeous suite. It is not my normal colors. Normally I'm a brights girl, as you know, if you've watched often. You know I like the brights. But a lot of us also like some of the neutrals. And this is really a gorgeous set. And especially if you're from this kind of Southwest area, Texas, New Mexico, all that, like we are. I think this is a beautiful set. And I'll show you another day. I'll show you something totally different that's made with this set. Well, I've got it right here. I'll show you these. And if y'all want to see a video with these, I will do that too. Look how much difference. This is the same stamp set and we made this card in our techniques class too, in the Moody Mauve. And this is the same bundle, the same DSP, everything. Good morning, Francie. I thought you might like this set. I hate Rebecca didn't get to come to this class. I'm glad you tuned in for this. Okay, and then also we have, look how different this card looks. Wow! This is the holographic paper in the silver, and then it has the foil that is it goes from blue to purple to pink. So you can do a lot of things with this. But see what a totally, this one looks a lot more modern. Totally different look on all three of these, right? What do you think? Which one's your favorite? Today we're going to do the Earthen Elegance one with the Earthen Elegance DSP and Earthen Textures bundle. And that is right here. We'll be using both the dies and the stamp set. And we're just going to get right after this. And let's see, I covered up my little Stampin' Pierce mat. Here we go. Hidden under the table. Whoops, sorry, I'm shaking. Okay, we are starting with, and I will put all these measurements on my blog eventually. It's just, I have been covered up with volunteer work and working on my 45th high school reunion that's coming up. I've just got lots of things going on. And our Feed Seniors Now program for Lubbock Meals on Wheels, that's going on. That's in September. Throughout the month of September, we're getting, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to have my hand right in the way. Okay, we're going to move this, leave that up where y'all can see it. So I've had a whole ton going on, so I don't know when this is exactly going to get going. And I was in a group called Venture Club, a service organization called Venture Club, and we are celebrating Venture Club's 40th anniversary tonight with some friends from Venture that I'm such a lucky gal. I have probably 20, 25 friends in that club that I joined when I was right out of college, and the actually Venture Club was an international organization and it disbanded, but we have all still remained friends and keep getting together. So we're looking forward to that tonight. Oh yeah, Kathy, I forgot you were getting this in your order. That's great. I'm glad you're getting your order on Wednesday. You'll have a lot of fun playing with it. Oh, you like the Moody Mauve one the best. Okay. Anybody else out there watching have a favorite? This would be the Earthen Texture one, or you could just say the browns, the mauves, or the modern for your favorite. I would love to know what you think. Okay. We always talk about layering on what's on the bottom layer, what's on the middle layer, what's on the top layer, so that you're sure of what you can do, what you can glue down, what you can do next as a step. And in class, I forgot to remind everybody of that on one part of this. So we're going to do that pretty early. The only thing really we can glue right now on the bottom layer that doesn't get affected by anything else is this little strip. And this is from that designer series paper that I mentioned earlier, the Earthen Elegance. And we're just going to glue that down real quickly. Let's see if we have an unstuck glue. And I just transfer my glue into a little fine tipped container, so it's a little easier to work with. And this is 1 inch by 5 1/4, this DSP. I think I was about to tell you about the size of the cardstock. It starts off as an 8.5 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4, and then you cut off, I believe it's 1 inch. Let's see here. Hopefully I've got a ruler. I try to keep one in here, and then sometimes I sneak it out for classes, and then I don't have one when I need it. So, but I believe that's about 1 inch. I don't see a ruler handy, but that's about 1 inch right there on that DSP. I'll put the measurements on my blog when I get ready for that. Okay, that's all we can do here. We're going to next work on, get a little piece of scratch paper, and we're going to work on, we'll just use this one. In order to get some depth, can you see on this card, can you see that there's actually, it looks like there's a line there that these pots are sitting on, like a countertop or something, like, say this is the background and this is the countertop. It gives it some depth when you do that. And that is from the same piece of paper that's the same all the way. So anybody have a guess as to how we did that? We are going to use one of our adhesive sheets that Stampin' Up! Makes. You could use a Post-it note if you don't have these, or 2 Post-it notes. You just have to make sure and get it straight. This is nice that we can line it up with our grid paper. If we could see through here, we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll just do it on here. Y'all will have to forgive the mess on here. And I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. So I'm putting that at the top of the 5th square right there on both sides, assuming that this is straight. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I went up further. That doesn't seem right. I guess I went 6. Let's go up 1 more. So when you're peeling off an adhesive, whether it's like the frog tape that's for sensitive projects like this, where you want to make sure that you don't rip the paper. So you pull it back onto itself, and I'll show you that again in a minute. We're going to use Early Espresso on this one. Let's see, where can I put all this so it's not right in y'all's view, so you don't have to look at the mess the whole time. How about that? Okay, here's that part of the card. What we're going to do is take the Early Espresso and our blending brush, and I'm going to use a large blending brush, and I'm just tapping it on here. You can rub it, tap it, whatever you want to do, but you always want to start off the paper, tap it, and get that little gunky stuff. See how you'll make a mess with that if you go directly to your paper. So you want to start off the paper if you can at all, and use a circular motion. See if I can get this where my arm's not interfering, getting in the way. So I'm tapping off each time. I'm going in from the sides. And we're just going to make that line of demarcation, I guess, whatever you want to call it, so that it looks like the pots are actually sitting on something, whether it's a countertop or table or whatever. But this is an easy way, instead of having to use 2 different colors of DSP and try to get that as a straight line. You could do that. You could have one as a countertop and one as a tile background and have them totally different colors. But I just kind of like the way this looked with the brown layered over that pretty peacock. And this piece is 3 inches by 5 1/4. In case I didn't say that earlier. 3 or 2 3/4. Yes, but it's 3 inches, because this part, since you cut off 1 inch, this whole thing would have been 4 1/4. You cut off 1 inch, so you've got 3 1/4 on this flap. And so the DSP is 3 inches by 5 1/4. And as I said, peel it off back onto itself like that. And then if you have like a plastic, something like comes on your stamp set, or maybe I'll just put it on the stamp cover right now. I'm just going to stick it on there where it'll peel off again. Just stick it on something that it'll peel off of, and you could use it again. Okay, so now we have our depth there. We're going to take our little pieces. Try to get this where I can reach it a little easier. We're going to stamp. This is one of the stamps in that Earthen texture stamp set. And then we're going to take our little vase or vase. I asked at class and everybody was like, we are in Texas, it's vase, not vase. If we were in France, it would be vase. So we're not going to be fancy here. All right, So you need to kind of audition your pieces and see where they're going to go. Okay. Kind of where you're going to layer these, how far down front you want that. This is kind of what I did, basically. So we're going to put some of this little pampas grass stuff up at the top, and just think about it when you're angling this. You think about, you don't want the little sprays coming out of the side of the pot. You kind of want them to look like they're coming out of the top of the pot. And we're going to use early espresso on this one too. It's going to be dark. This is just going to be back behind the die cut pieces. And don't worry, I'm going to take this off. This is just for positioning. And I'm just going to take that bottom part off. We know we don't need it, and it's probably not going to show anyway. But right now, I'm just going to imagine where I just had that placed and lay that early espresso in at the top there. And you could stamp off if you wanted, but this is kind of on dark paper too. So I'm going to move this one up even further where it goes off. I hope I didn't go outside the line. Do what I say and not what I do. There we go. Okay, there's a little bit of that. See, this is what I was talking about. You got to make sure your stems aren't sticking out too far, but we can adjust that and move that over a little bit. That'll be just fine. And I think I may do one more. A little bit lower. Okay. Now, while we've got the espresso out, let's clean this really quickly with our little Stampin' Chamois. And then I'm going to mount the other stamp, this little guy. I'm going to mount him. Over here. Anybody have any questions? Y'all be sure and type them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Hope y'all are having a good day, a nice weekend so far. I got up at 7:15 to make sure I was all ready for this. So hopefully I've got what I need in here this time. I'm missing it a lot. Okay, we're going to do a couple of these. Now, I'm just picturing in my mind where I kind of want this. And I want it pretty high because you can see this is going to cover most of it. So it needs to come up pretty high. I don't want it as high as this. So I want it a little bit lower than that, but I still want it to where you'll be able to see it. And if you want a little bit more back there stamped off, you can. Okay. So now we've got that background ready. So we're able to start working on everything else. And we can go ahead and glue this down if we want. It totally depends on if you'd rather work on it just like this or if you want to go ahead and glue it. I think right now we're just going to go ahead and glue it down. Since we know we're not doing any other layering. If you were doing any ribbons or anything that you needed to wrap around here, then you wouldn't want to glue this next. Okay. The glue was working earlier. Y'all saw that. And now it doesn't want to. There we go. And you could use Stampin' Seal if that's your glue of choice. Okay. Now we'll get our little stamping silicone mat here. Get this on just so we can have it all in one piece and not all scattered out. Okay. Don't you love this pretty peacock with that copper clay? Ah, they're just beautiful together, I think. Lovely, lovely. Okay, and don't do what I did and kind of smear your fingers across that. It does take a little while to dry with all that layering we did on with the early espresso on the bottom. So Make sure you've got a tissue handy and just be careful because that does get off on your fingers because it's not quite dry yet. All right. Then I've got a little paper towel here. Okay, yay. Now let's just do some of these little pieces. Let me get that clean, or fairly clean anyway. Okay. We're going to, while we're stamping, before we do the rest of that stuff, let's go ahead and do the inside. And we'll do the copper pot. We're going to do that in copper clay. This little pot on the inside. I'm just going to put it kind of at the lower right. All right. And it does leave a texture. That doesn't mean you've made a mistake. It just means it's textured because most pottery is textured like that. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and stamp this on. Another piece of copper clay while we're at it. And I like to do my stamping on my Stampin' Pierce mat. Let's see. We're going to stamp this on the copper clay. So I've got Early Espresso on copper clay for that. And then that will be die cut out. And then when you cut that out with this little die, we've got 2 size pots dies. And I wanted to show you that when you put this on your die cut, most of the time die cuts or dies, actually you come up right to the edge of what you've stamped. But this one, you can see the stamping all the way around on the outside edge, which works great for these pots so that it doesn't leave a border around them. Okay. Sometimes that can be beneficial, but on these pots, I think it looks great so that this, when it's die cut, see how it goes all the way to the edge. And that's because the stamp is a little bit bigger than the die, which is great. Okay. So we'll pretend with the magic of television or video. Now we have that die cut and we'll put our little die back in its spot. Okay, then I'm going to show you another trick. Same thing. We have I don't know if you've tried these sheets. This is what I cut a little bit off earlier. That is, what are these called? Not adhesive sheets. Masking sheets? I don't know. Somebody who knows that, let me know. I forgot what it's called. But it is for masking off an area so you don't get anything on it. So I've already die cut that with that same die I just showed you. And this is how we did our, whoops, that's the top. I always throw away the wrong half. Okay. So we're going to mask this and we're not going to go, we're going to leave a border all the way around. See how I'm leaving that gap at the top? Anytime you stamp onto another piece of paper, this is like a ledge. And when you stamp over it, you're going to leave a little bit of a halo area, a little bit of blank space. So we don't really want that. You would think that we would want to stamp directly right up to here, but we don't. We want to leave a little extra space when we're stamping our greenery or our pampas grass in this case, whatever you want to call it. I guess it could be any kind of grass. We're going to do ours in Pretty Peacock for the inside of the card. And this is what we're working on right here. Get that where you can see it a little better. Okay. Mount that on our handy dandy block. And this is an old Pretty Peacock pad that I've had for years whenever we had Peacock the first time. And now it has come back as an in color. And I thought I'll just try and see if my old pad still works since I still have a refill from that same time. And sure enough, it does. So I was excited not to have to buy a new one. Okay. So we'll ink it up again. You can ink it off, or you can do second generation like I did here, or we can do a couple of first generations and just leave it all the same color. And that way I'll show you both ways so you can see what we're doing. Okay. Now, before we take the mask off, I'm going to show you how I do the little background underneath. And I remembered I tried it one time with my Stampin' blends, but that doesn't work. You can't blend them after you, I mean, you're not going to get this watercolory look with the Stampin' blends because you can't go back with water on them because they're alcohol based. Stampin' blends are alcohol based, unlike our other inks that are dye based or water based. Okay. So we're going to take just a little bit of crumb cake, and I usually don't do this in my lid. I don't like this mess, but it happened at class that way. So I'm going to go ahead and use it here. Normally I'll stick a block on here and then work off of the block. I prefer that just because it's less messy. And I'm a messy girl anyway. So we're going to go, just kind of go over here. See, now I've got too much water. All right, we're going to go get a block anyway. All right. And I'm just going to wipe this out of here. So it's really not a big deal, but I just prefer this. I think I get more, I can regulate the color better this way than in the whole lid. Okay, I'm going to make this not as wet and just kind of go over like that. Just give it a little texture and make it a little bit darker right at the bottom of the vase so it looks like it's resting on something. Okay, easy peasy. And then we can take this same, okay, we've got everything done with the masking. So we're going to take it off and we're going to peel it back onto itself and not just pull it straight up. Peeling it back onto itself and then stick it on something that it won't stick to permanently, so you could reuse it. Now we're going to take a little bit of this crumb cake. Got a little hair there. There we go. And go down the sides here to kind of give it some depth, make it look like it's a curved pot. And you want to leave some of that in that same color. I think I must have done Cajun Craze instead of copper clay on that first one. Looks quite a bit different. We'll see after it dries. It definitely, drying makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm just kind of shading a little on the sides here. And I don't want to keep you all day Saturday, but just wanted to let you know kind of how I did that. You can do it any way you want. You can try it. You can use blends on the side if you want, but you can't go back and shade like you can down here and make it look all watercolory. So I would say make it the darkest right here where you've got the plants coming in. And then at the very, very bottom. And you don't want to get it too wet because this is not watercolor paper. It's just our regular paper. Very vanilla background. Okay, I'm going to leave that just in case we need it. And then we'll go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And we could probably do it in Cajun Craze, which would be a little bit brighter. But I think we're going to stick with the espresso like I did on the first one. And this sentiment comes from that same set, the Earthen Texture set. And we're going to just ink that up with early espresso. And just tap, 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 turn it over and look, make sure you don't have a mess anywhere. And then stamp straight down, leave it for a couple of seconds, straight up. You are proof there is good in the world. Wouldn't that be nice for a friend to tell you? Okay, here we go. Get that cleaned off. So each time you do this, since you're using a watercolory look, it's going to be different. So that's kind of fun. Every card will be individual. Or individualized, I guess. We're going to get that on the inside. We've got that ready. Okay, and then you should have an even border all the way around. This again is 3 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to overlap that. So this should stick inside just a little bit. So you don't want it sticking out right here where it shows. Okay. All right. Now let's get back to the front. Back to the front. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Okay, now we have a little bit more stamping to do. We've got our crumb cake. You can see this pampas grass or leafy substance, whatever you want to call it. It was stamped in crumb cake on the berry vanilla. And you just need the top part. You don't have to ink up all the stems. And we're going to leave room on here also to do our With Gratitude. And I may go ahead and cut the With Gratitude. I'm going to cut a little bit sliver for that. About 3/8 of an inch, I think. So this is just a scrap of very vanilla. And then the With Gratitude can go on here. And we may need to trim it a little bit more, or maybe about right. That's 3/8 of an inch. I think that's a little bit wider than this. Yeah. Let's cut it down just a tad. We're going to say a sliver off. Okay. Now, got a lot of stuff going on here. I spread out everywhere, as you can see. Kathy, I do use the stamp for stamping all stamps. I feel like I get a better coverage that way. I know it's really initially designed for the photopolymer stamps because the red rubber cling stamps have some cushion in there that the photopolymer do not have, but I use it for everything. I just feel like you get a better stamped image that way. We're going to stick with the With Gratitude for the front, and we're going to do that in Pretty Peacock. And y'all do not have to do things in the order that I'm doing them. I just kind of randomly, whatever I feel like at the moment. As long as you pay attention to your layering that I talked about, that you're sure you can glue that layer down. You're not doing anything else to it. Then you can do the rest of it kind of in whatever order works for you. Okay, so we've got both of those. I think that is the end of our stamping. Then I'm going to show you how to use the blending brushes, and then I'll show you how to do that little pot with the ribbon around it. And you always want to clear your aqua painter out. The water painter used to be aqua painters. Now we have water painters. But you just push on both sides where it says push, and just use a paper towel and squeeze it until the water comes out clear. And then it's ready for your next time. Okay, we're going to cut our little with gratitude. I kind of like that angle. And if you're very meticulous and want this to be exact, you can take this over here and use that as a pattern so that you have the exact same slant on this end as you do on that end. I usually guess, but just to show you how that works. So we've got that ready. And we are going to, you can die cut this out, but it will leave a little border around it. And since the rest of the dies are cut without any kind of a border, I'm just going to fussy cut this real quick. All right, so that the stem's not going to matter as much. And what I did was just use one stamp of the little grassy part, and then I cut it apart into 3. And you're seeing I'm not going in and out on every single one, and I'm moving the paper, leaving the scissors just kind of as a pivot point. I'm going to go ahead and cut those apart. Then we're going to cut these apart. I think it's easier just to get all the bulk out of the way, and then you can zip around it. Just here and there, if you go in and out a little bit, it looks just fine and dandy. You don't have to be extremely meticulous about this. That stem is definitely going to get covered up anyway. So just kind of zig, 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 zag. Then if you want a little bit more detail just on the end, that's great. Okay, now we've got one more left to do really quickly. That way you don't have to stamp it 3 times, so you can just spread these out on your card. Because you want to try to repeat colors at least 3 times, or I do, if I can. Some at least in the same color family. When you're doing a card like this, rather than having 6 different colors, it's better to have 3 colors repeated 2 or 3 times a piece, if that makes sense. Okay, so we've got that. We'll get all our little scraps out of the way. Okay, now let's get our pot ready. We're going to set this aside, and I'm going to show you how to use the small blending brushes. Stampin' Up! Has 2 different sizes of blending brushes. These are the small ones, and we're going to go ahead and use the Early Espresso on this. Just like we did before, we're going to stamp off, and then you can either hold this against your paper here, or you can hold it up in your hand, whichever one works for you. And I'm just shading the sides of the pot so that makes your brain think that that part is further back. It's in the shadow. It's curved. So we're going to shade both sides, and I usually shade one heavier than the other, and then try to be consistent with all the pots, as if your light source is on this side coming in. You would have more shadow on this side of your pot. So if the light source is coming on the right, then you're going to have more shadows on the left. And I'm going to make this heavier at the bottom. You would think that would be shadowed a little more too down there. And the top is going to be covered up anyway with our separate little piece that I die cut. Okay, so that's all there is to that. Then we're going to do a little bit of that on this piece also. It's not quite as obvious. I'm just kind of barely doing a little bit on the bottom. Don't want to totally overdo that. And it's a little harder to hold this one in your hand because this paper is a little bit, it's lighter weight. It's not the cardstock weight. It is the designer series paper. And I have already, got that a little dark. Did I tap off like I told you to? No, I didn't. Now you see why, right? Okay. So that's a little of that. And then we're going to take, if you want to take this extra step, I think it shows, but it totally depends on how long you want to take on your card and how special the person is you're giving it to, right? Okay, I'm going to take these and use the blending brush a little bit on those also. And a teeny bit on the white, not as much because we don't need quite as much there. And you don't have to go all the way to the end because we're going to chop those down. And let's see, I guess we can do a little bit on here. Kind of give that a little depth. Still tap off, tap off. Okay. And then this one, this branch die, I cut out of the same, I think this portion of this designer paper. Some scrap that was left in between doing the vases. So those vases, this was all cut directly out of the designer series paper. And I cut them all thinking I love the way this dripped down onto the brown. And this was actually a Stampin' Up! Designer actually painted a tile and fired it and everything. And then they photographed it and repeated it to do the designer series paper. So it's kind of a fascinating process on how they do all that. They're very creative. But then I tried to put it on the card and I didn't like the bottom being dark as well as I like the top being dark. But we may try it on this one since I made this background a little darker than I did here. We'll see what we think. Okay, I might need just a little bit on this too. This is going to go on the top part. Close that ink up a little too soon, didn't I? Okay, we're going to do that. All right. And I think that's all the blending we need to do too. Okay. We are cooking with gas here. Anybody have any questions so far? And if y'all are watching the replay, I will try to go back and look for comments. Sometimes they'll pop up for me and sometimes they don't. So this is the front where it's got this detail. It doesn't really matter. In fact, I think I'd rather have it with that on the back. So I'm going to make this, pretend that's the back. And I've got some Stampin' Seal. You could use Seal or Seal Plus. Sticky, sticky, sticky stuff. Get all the way on there. Okay. Then we're going to take our ribbon, which Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to run, grab the ribbon. I didn't grab that. I'll be right back. Y'all don't go away. Okay, I'm back. I should have left y'all a pretty screen to look at. Sorry about that. Okay. Forgot I had that in my, pulled it out of my box for class. Okay. So we're going to stick this on the back. Make sure you got plenty of room to stick it. Wrap it. 1, 2, 3, and cut. So now all that ribbon is stuck to the Stampin' Seal. However, when I tried to kind of curve it around and put dimensionals on it, dimensionals don't really stick very well to this by itself. So what I did was added liquid glue, quite a bit of it, over the ribbon, over the paper, the cardstock, everything. Just kind of really coated it well. And then I die cut another pot, same size, same color, everything, so that we can layer it. And we're kind of bending it, curving it, where the inside, this is where I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put the edge of Stampin' Dimensionals, or you can use foam adhesive sheets, which I hope I still have in here. Yes, I do. And I feel like this works better, but because it's a flat, solid surface. Excuse me, I'm dry here. Okay, so you just hold that together until it's glued really, really well. And if you'll curve it while the glue is drying, it works better for you. Okay, now we have the pretty ribbon on the pot, and that ribbon is number, let's see, this side, 161517, and it's called Natural Wavy Twine Trim. Natural Wavy Trim. Yeah. Okay, so we've got that ready. We're going to put our little foam adhesive strips, and these come in sheets about like that, and you just cut them where you need them. So I'm going to make about that much. Of a piece, and then another one that size also. See if we have that about right. Yep. So we're going to double this one up because the others are going to be on dimensionals too. You probably wouldn't want to mail this card. This would definitely take extra postage. It's going to take the non-machinable surcharge stamp, which is not as much as 2 regular stamps, but it's definitely more than the one. Okay, we're going to, I need to cut that off. That was a little too much. A little bit more. I thought I measured that. I must have just measured the first one, huh? Excuse me. Okay, whoops. I'm not going to peel the back off of that yet until we get through auditioning our pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the back of this too. We're going to curve this one and do the same thing with the adhesive sheet. And this one's just going to be one layer. And I'm actually going to wait a minute here. Slow your horses down, Kelley. We want to add this to the top. We're just going to glue that right there. It's not really critical exactly where you glue it. Just kind of get it where it looks even. Just overlapping the top of that. And again, curve it while you're working on it. Curve the sides back because you want the pot to look rounded toward you in the middle. Thank you, Facebook user. I'm glad you liked the card. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move this up where it overlaps that intersection of the early espresso with the copper clay. All right, I'm going to leave that back on too till we're sure we know what we're doing. I'm just trying to get everything ready first. Okay, why don't we just go ahead and use some of this foam adhesive strip on here. I'm just going to use little bitty strip of that. No, I don't think we do. I don't think I did do that. Never mind. I think that one's glued just onto the pot. All right, so the last part, I really felt like the pots needed, oops, I'm going to curve that one too. Okay, one more. I never said this card was going to be easy. I just said it was going to be worth it, right? Hopefully y'all think so. Because you're just seeing the part after all the die cuts are done. So it does take a little while. But I think the effort is worth it. Or it's worth the effort. That's more like it. Go ahead and cut that off. Not quite enough. We'll have a little Stampin' square there, won't we? Okay. Now those are all ready. We've got our glue making a mess here. See how easily that wipes off that silicone mat and it's not stuck to here and making a mess, sticking to everything. So that's great. Okay, we'll leave that. I think we're ready to audition our pieces and start some gluing. Okay. We want to just lay these kind of where we think we want them. And I'm going to try this way and see what y'all think. Do y'all like it as well? You like it better with the brown at the bottom versus the brown at the top? What do you think of that while I'm kind of looking to see how we're going to do this? All right, that'll be like that. Now we're going to take our little branches, which I'm going to dump right there. And we'll probably have to cut off the bottom of these just a little bit, but we can start gluing those. So this is not down yet. I'm just auditioning to see kind of where I want them before I glue those down. I'm going to glue some of these branches. We'll do one like we did there. You want some of the stem to be on there because it just helps hold everything in place. Okay. Now with the leaves, this is what I was talking about. See, it just kind of overwhelms the pot, I think, like that, unless you're using just the one pot, and then I think it would be pretty. But what we're going to do is get that. We'll get our adhesive off our scissors first. We are just going to take and shape this leaf into whatever we want it to be. And that's how I got those leaves like that from the one die. Okay, let's see how we're going to do this in here. Can we get by with just that? I kind of broke it right there, so I'm just going to let that go. Now I'm going to glue this end down. And you can see I'm not gluing every little branch. You don't have to do that. But you can if you want to. Okay, we're going to kind of go over here. You don't want it going off the edge of your card because you do have to get it in in an envelope. I think that's just one too many little layers there. That makes it look like it's coming out of the side of the pot, and we don't want that. Okay. I think that works. And this one is Cajun Craze. This one, so that's going to go over here. Glue the bottom of that one. This could be in front of that or behind that. Let's go behind. Okay, then we're going to do our little copper clay guy. And this is all the same branch. I just cut it out in different colors that are all in this same color palette that the DSP has in it. There's your copper clay piece. Here's this little curved leaf. Let's see, which one do I want? I think either one would work. I like that. Okay. Now these are still moving around on me. That's fine. Till we get them glued, they will. Okay. Now we're going to stick this one. And just always make sure that your designer series paper, just because it all comes in one pack, doesn't mean it all can coordinate on every card, I think. So that's kind of up to your color sensibilities, but I like there is a piece of Moody Mauve in there and some Moody Mauve and Pretty Peacock together. I just would be careful mixing too many colors, like I said, on one card. Just try to find a color scheme with probably 2 or 3 colors, maybe 3 or 4, and stick to those. I like that. Okay. Oops, haven't been looking for comments. I know. One of my customers, Claire, she's one of my team members too. I knew she was going to love this bundle, and she was like, I wanted to see a class with that one. So I did get this, and I'm glad I did. It is different from what I usually choose. And sometimes we need to be kind of out of our comfort zone a little bit and try some new things. So I am glad I did that in this case. And we're going to let that come over the card a little bit over here, because it can come over the flap. It just can't come over the outside of the card. So we're going to stick that in there. Okay. And I may need to borrow. Let me get out of another kit. I'm going to steal another branch that's cut out, hopefully. Hopefully I've got one in here somewhere. Not seeing it there. Let's see. I forgot I had put another one right here. And that's the copper clay, I believe. I'm stealing it out of another set. I'll have to remember that later. Okay, so I just kind of arranged this. Did I do that, or Cajun Craze? I think I did do Cajun Craze. Hang on. some extras of this. Let's see if we like this. Oh no, where's my gratitude? There it is. With gratitude. If I trim, nope, too much. Too much. Okay, we're gonna grab the Cajun Craze one, and I promise I won't keep y'all all day. We are getting really, really close here. And I'm going to just glue this to the back right here. So that we have a little more pizzazz on our sentiment. Okay. All right. I think we're good to go. Okay. So these are glued. So now we can glue this pot. We've already got our layering done on it. We're going to curve it like that. Curve it around once you have that dimensional in the middle. Yeah. If one of you resists and then you talk the other one into it, that's pretty funny. It is a great set. It certainly is. And it'll make some beautiful, can you imagine this for Thanksgiving cards or just end of year thank you cards for customers or for, excuse me, you wouldn't want to do 100 of them, but excuse me, you can do a lot with the set. And you can use these branches anytime. You know, you can make an Easter arrangement with these. It just depends on the colors that you're choosing. All right, rip the back of that pot off, curve that around. See how much difference just that little bit of blending brush and curving it around just the foam adhesive sheet in the middle and not putting any on the sides. It just makes it look really 3D, don't you think? Okay, we're going to come up here with that. Then we're going to add this pot. And this one is double stacked, like I said, because those others are single stacked and you've just got to have room in between them for this. And I kind of like this coming down a little further toward you. Not a whole lot, but some. I think that works right there. Let's get all this mess out of the way and add our little greeting. So you can see I've kind of changed the positioning of those pots just a little bit. So we may put that up a little higher. I kind of like that with that going over. And you can see that that looks still fine. It's still in our color coordinated area. Color coordinated, whatever you want to call it. My brain's dead. And I'm just going to put glue right in the center of this because both the other sides kind of hang off since this is flat. Just going to kind of go right there, go with the line of the pot. Okay, so you wouldn't want to do this if these didn't coordinate, if these colors didn't look good with everything else, but that way it just kind of creates some interest. I think it doesn't really bug me that they show from the other side. I think it's really pretty to have them 3D like that here. What do you think, peeps? Y'all like it? Oh, good. Good. Glad you like the 3D look. Okay. Do y'all think that's worth the effort to get a little, so you can see in the background, you can tell that it's got the everything stamped back there. Thank you, Kathy. Glad you love it. Anybody else have any questions or comments about this Earthen? It's the Earthen Textures bundle and the Earthen Elegance designer series paper. So if you can't resist anymore and you want to get the whole suite, I can give you that number. There's one item number for the entire suite, and it's page 70 and 71 in the catalog. And let's see, the suite collection is 161518. And that $74.25 includes the whole pack of 12 designer series papers, the stamp set, the dies, and the dies go a lot further than what I showed you today. There's a whole lot to it. And you get the wavy trim. So it's a beautiful, beautiful set. And it will go great with there's some copper ribbon that I think will be beautiful with this. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. Where are we on time? Whew, it's a new Christmas one in the mini catalog. Let me show you how pretty this will be, as well as this navy trim that comes with the suite. Look at this copper and natural ribbon combo pack from the mini catalog for September through December. Lovely. Look at that. We've never had I mean, that just looks like liquid copper, doesn't it? Beautiful, I think. Love it. But see how gorgeous that would be with here, and so would the natural. This whole combo would be great. And that is out of the holiday, or we call it the holiday catalog. It's the new mini. So if you don't have that catalog, be sure and let me know. I'm happy to get you one if you don't already have a demonstrator. And oh, Francie, thanks. Thank you. Glad you think it's worth the effort. Well, hi, Sharon. I'm glad to know that's you. Good to have you on board. Oh, I know those ribbons are so pretty. All right. Well, I did want to share with you, we do have some things going on, of course, with Stampin' Up. And we have, let me see if I can get this to show up. I want to make sure you're, sorry about this. I don't have a way to mute the background. You'll just have to, hang on. Let's look at this comment. We're going to hide that one. Kathy, I have the catalogs here. They just came in. So I have one for you. I have it on the front porch if you want to pick that one up, or if you don't want to wait till I can get it to you. But if you come by my house, I'll show you some of the goodies that I've already gotten out of the new catalog. So fun. Okay. If anybody ordered anything in July that was $50 or more, you should have received a bonus coupon from Stampin' Up, and you can redeem those for $5 off for each coupon for each $50 you spent at one time on an order. So like if you spent $90, you're going to get one coupon for $5. If you spend $100, you'd get two coupons for $5 each. So that's how that works. And also wanted to let you know, we are having a kits sale, and that's up to 30% off out of the kits collection. And you can just go online, go to my createwithkelley.com, hit shop and click kits, and it'll show you all the kits. And some are 10% off, some are 20, some are 30. So that's awesome. We have a new kit called the Festive Tags Kit that just came, that is brand new and a lot of fun. I don't think that one's on sale because it's brand new, but don't quote me on that. Might have to check it out online. So I just wanted to remind you of those things. I didn't want you to miss out on anything. And I think that's all we have, unless I've got some more questions. Let me go back to, hide. See if I can get back to my comments, see if anybody else has anything. But I would love to help you as a demonstrator. I'd love to have you come to classes. I think my class tomorrow night is full. We're going to be doing the little trucking along card that I showed you last week on Saturday, plus some others. So I hope you'll come to a class soon, or let me know if you need anything. I'm happy to help anytime. Let's hold them up and say sayonara. I've got mess over here. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it, and hope to see you soon at a class. Or I do have online classes, so watch for those. Be sure and subscribe to my blog at createwithkelley.com. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.